Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule of sitting in jail to talk with me here.
Yep.
Did you say this? Is this true? Is this what you really think, And for the most part, he just kept saying, yep, 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 to almost every question.
Alameda was kind of borrowing a bunch of money via open term loans and use that to make various illiquid investments.
When will Bankman Fried be sentenced? U.S. District Judge Lewis Kaplan set Bankman Fried's sentencing for March 28, 2024. Bankman Fried could face decades in prison. Kaplan will sentence Bankman Fried based on several factors, including his personal history and the nature of the crime. The financial world was shaken when Sam Bankman Fried, founder of the cryptocurrency exchange FTX, was convicted of a multi-billion-dollar fraud. A New York jury found him guilty of crimes that could lead to decades of imprisonment. Bankman Fried's trial revealed significant fraudulent activities within FTX, leading to at least $10 billion being stolen from customers and investors. The verdict raises critical questions about the role of regulatory bodies in the cryptocurrency industry and whether stricter regulations could have prevented this colossal financial debacle. Critics argue that the lack of clear and enforceable regulations in the cryptocurrency market provided a breeding ground for the fraudulent activities at FTX. Despite the gravity of Bankman Fried's conviction, there seems to be little to no push in Washington for enhanced regulatory measures. The trial exposed vulnerabilities in the crypto industry, yet Congress has not shown a significant response to tighten regulations. This inaction suggests a broader issue of regulatory lag in an industry that is rapidly evolving and increasingly intersecting with traditional financial markets. Further legal action awaits Bankman Fried, with a trial scheduled for March on charges including bribing Chinese officials with $40 million and making illegal political donations in the U.S. Bankman Fried is anticipated to seek a review of his conviction from the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. This review would also encompass decisions made against him prior to and during the trial proceedings. During the trial, Judge Kaplan restricted Bankman Fried from informing the jury about the involvement of legal counsel in certain facets of FTX's operations. During the trial, legal representatives for Bankman Fried requested an acquittal, asserting that the prosecution hadn't adequately substantiated their claims. However, Judge Kaplan dismissed this request. In the wake of Bankman Fried's conviction, his attorney, Mark Cohen, emphasized that they would persistently challenge the allegations against him. Ellison, at the age of 28, took the stand to share that under Bankman Fried's instructions, she, as the CEO of Alameda Research, engaged in fraudulent activities. These actions were part of his aspirations to helm major corporations, exercise financial influence, and even eye the U.S. presidency, with Bankman Fried believing he had a 5% possibility of achieving that role. Visibly emotional, Ellison recounted the unraveling of the cryptocurrency kingdom last November. The ensuing demands from customers to retrieve their funds, which laid bare the fraudulent activities, brought her a sense of liberation from the burden of deceit. Gary Wang, co-founder of FTX and its former chief technology officer, disclosed during his testimony that Bankman Fried instructed him to embed specific code into FTX's system. This modification allowed Alameda Research to execute limitless withdrawals from FTX and access a credit limit reaching $65 billion, funds which Wang identified as originating from customers. This case may influence future regulatory discussions as it continues to unfold. A civil case by the Commodities and Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, against Bankman Fried has been postponed until after the criminal trial, indicating that regulatory bodies are still in the process of responding to the FTX crisis. Bankman Fried's sentencing is set for March 2024, with a potential order for restitution to the victims. The judge's past statements on corporate crime suggest a harsh view of calculated white-collar crimes, hinting at a severe sentence. customers of FTX are expected to recover a significant portion of the funds lost in the bankruptcy. This tentative settlement is a silver lining for those affected, but also highlights the need for better protection mechanisms in the industry. FTX is expected to include the deal in its next proposed bankruptcy plan in December. FTX has recovered over $7 billion in assets so far and is attempting to claw back more through lawsuits against former business partners. Kaplan may also order Bankman Fried to pay restitution to victims at sentencing. Political connections. Bankman Fried was also a prominent political donor, aligning himself publicly with the Democrats. Yet he later admitted to making contributions to Republicans through undisclosed channels. Some of these funds were alleged to be misappropriated from FTX customers. The Sam Bankman Fried verdict has not only highlighted the risks inherent in the cryptocurrency market, but also the urgency for effective regulatory frameworks. Whether stricter regulation could have prevented this situation remains a poignant question as the aftermath continues to affect investors and shakes the industry at large. The magnitude of this fraud finds similarities with historical financial deceptions, most notably the 2009 conviction of Bernard Madoff, responsible for a Ponzi scheme that defrauded investors of around $20 billion. This outline provides a narrative that examines the potential impact of regulation on the events leading up to the Sam Bankman Fried verdict, with a focus on the current state of industry regulation and legal proceedings. It also suggests areas for further exploration, such as the consequences of congressional inaction and the future of cryptocurrency regulation.
Sam Bankman Fried's cross-examination began today from a prosecutor, Danielle Sassoon, who asked him a lot of questions in which he threw his own words at him, asking him, did you say this? Is this true? Is this what you really think, And for the most part, he just kept saying, yep, 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 to almost every question. And it was very different, though, from his direct testimony, which concluded this morning. And in that testimony, he really portrayed himself as kind of a bumbling guy who didn't really know what was going on with his companies. And 2 days before they were about to go bankrupt, he was surprised. He didn't know what was going to happen. And he thought they could cover the amount of money people were trying to withdraw, and they couldn't. So he just portrayed himself as just completely in the dark about almost everything. Meanwhile, the people that testified against him, his former fellow executives, insisted that he was a hands-on guy who directed everything, like he was a master creator of all the mayhem that emerged when his companies went out of business and went bankrupt last November. Sam Bankman Fried is facing decades in prison if he can't convince the jury that he really wasn't responsible for the collapse of his cryptocurrency companies. So his testimony is very important to the outcome of the trial. And he has carefully laid out his claim through the questioning from his own lawyers that he really isn't responsible. His fellow executives didn't do properly what he told them to do, and he really thought that his companies were going to be fine until hours before he had to put them in bankruptcy proceedings. Meanwhile, the prosecutors are trying to show that he stole billions of dollars of his customers and investors' money, and that he's fully guilty of carrying out what U.S. Attorney Damian Williams called one of the biggest financial frauds in U.S. history.
Last year, Alameda was kind of borrowing a bunch of money via open-term loans and use that to make various illiquid investments. So like a bunch of FTX and FTX US equity, a bunch of like other ventures, investments, etc. most of Valiant's loans got called, and in order to like meet those loan recalls, we ended up like borrowing a bunch of funds on FTX, which led to FTX having a shortfall in user funds.